Hi again, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and welcome to the Pip and Dodds podcast featuring the star of the show, Gary Ellerson, the former Badger and Packer. 105.7 FM, The Fan, the big show, weekdays from 2 to 6, and he's on the football show with future Hall of Famer Leroy Butler and Dennis Krause. Packers, San Francisco 49ers. The last time the two teams played in Northern California, a different stadium. It was a different year, 1997. The Packers go in there and thump the Niners. This year, they're 7-point dogs or so going in against a team that looks almost unbeatable at times. They were most impressive in the divisional win against the Vikings. Can these Packers, who have amazed all year long, 14 victories, find a way, Gary, to come out of there with a win that would catapult them to the Super Bowl in Miami?
Well, I mean, I think they can, but it's got to be a perfect game. It's got to be flawless, and they got to probably play a lot like they played against Seattle. I mean, I think right now they are a ascending team. If I was San Fran, I wouldn't want to play them. You've got a quarterback that's seasoned, that's already won a Super Bowl, been there, done that, did that. You've got an offense right now trying to figure some things out, and they're playing well together as we look at their last game against Seattle. And you have a defense that's really been steady all year long. You've got a guy in Zadarius Smith, I should say.
Yeah, right. He'll get fined up. He
Right, he should.
Yeah.
Who should be Defensive Player of the Year, and he's got a running partner with him at Preston Smith. And you've also got a nice nose guard, so you're good up the middle. Your linebacker's good. Your two corners are playing well. Your both safeties are back. Yeah, you've got your special teams in J.K. Scott. Your return game even looks a lot better than it was in the beginning of the year. Yeah, this team is poised to go to San Francisco, and if they play it the right way, they can get a win.
And John, in the previous podcast, Gary talked to the incredible game plan of Matt LaFleur. I mean, he said they were going to do things differently. Kyle Shanahan, his protege, or he was the protege of Shanahan, if you will, saying, look, if we don't find a way to change things up, we're going to have trouble. Packers perspective, turnovers, that sort of thing. On the other side, Shanahan says, we're stupid if we think that that's going to happen again. No way. Would they thump them 37-8? How important is this game plan that Gary made reference to?
Well, the last game started off worst case scenario. They lost the toss. They then got one first down, but Davante Adams taunted one of their defensive backs after a first down.
Yes.
So it brought the ball back to the goal line. Rodgers got sacked and fumbled. Their first drive started on the 3. So it's 7-0 in that game, and San Francisco gets the kickoff to begin the second half. So that's a whole extra possession that they got with a score. So it started off horribly. How could it get worse? Brian Bulaga wrenched his knee, and they put Alex Light in there, and quite frankly, he's a turnstile with those defensive linemen, all top. Three of those players in their defensive line are top 5 picks. They're terrific players. But there's one ray of hope. When I was looking at the game, I thought the one player who dominated on defense was this defensive lineman named C.J. Jones. He dominated Corey Linsley, just pushed him back on running plays in that first half, more than I've ever seen Corey Linsley get pushed back. But C.J. Jones suffered a high ankle sprain against New Orleans, and he's out for the year. That gives some hope, I think, that the Packers can start a running game and at least have a threat up the middle. Because you look at Minnesota, the difference between Minnesota and Green Bay is Green Bay's offensive line is healthy and a lot better than Minnesota's. And Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers are quarterbacks, but that's where the comparison ends. If Kirk Cousins gets any pressure, he gets in big trouble. His quarterback rating goes from 110 to 50. Aaron Rodgers can still make plays under pressure. So this is a whole different deal. So I think San Francisco, probably their coaches realize that this is a whole different deal than the Minnesota game.
The defense for the 49ers has scored 5 touchdowns. They have Nick Bosa. What a force. 25 combined sacks and tackles for loss and QB hits. So how important is it that the O-line of the green and gold play maybe their best game of the year?
Well, it's going to be in the trenches. I think you
And they lost it the first time, right? I mean, they were out muscled, out physical.
You talk about JD talks about Balaga not being in that game right away. That hurt them right away. Bosa, he was flip flopping left to right on the line of scrimmage. So sometimes he was over back to Ari, and sometimes he went on to the other side where Balaga was. And so maybe that caught them off guard. But yeah, it's going to be about line play. I think more importantly, we got into the story, and I don't know if they did, but there was this story about Matt LaFleur's brother at coaching there. Yeah. Then there were stories about Saleh, defensive coordinator. They're super best friends, and then that LaFleur and the family, they were flying out early and all that. I mean, I thought it was just so much ancillary stuff circling around this team other than like the football game. I think the coaching staff and the team will be better for that to happen when it happened, and now they can focus really on the game. And I think for Matt LaFleur, whether you think it or not, it was his first time doing all this stuff. And I think he'll handle it much better than he did the last time, because all that stuff weighs on you. At the end of the day, you're outside, you're playing your little brother, and then you're backing them down. But your dad has told you all along, take it easy. Don't let him win. Don't. And then at some point you say, you know what? Not today. It's not going to happen. And I think that's what ends up will happen in this situation with LaFleur, his coaching staff, and all the relationships that he have. I think the stone face, game face comes, and he's ready to do it.
And he seems to learn quickly.
Yes,
he doesn't make a mistake
yes.
They
won 14 games this year. That's not to sneeze at. But
historic.
Still along the way, I think there are learning lessons along the way that everybody learns.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not a rookie coach in the NFL anymore. John, the concerns I have are getting Davante open, especially without a bona fide second option. Those guys have stepped up. And Richard Sherman. Now, he's not like he was before when Aaron Rodgers, they didn't even mess with his side of the field when he was with Seattle, the aforementioned Legion of Boom. But how concerned are you that they can get Davante open, and how will they do it? And perhaps Gary can speak to that as well.
Well, the one weakness San Francisco has on defense is corner. Richard Sherman is the veteran. He was all-pro this year, and I was talking to some of the Seattle players trying to get a perspective. The two best games I saw this year were the two Seattle-San Francisco games. One, Seattle wins in overtime on a field goal around Thanksgiving, and the other one was the one in Week 17 when they were stopped an inch away from giving the Packers home field for the duration. So I was asking the Seahawks, when you look at the Packers, can they beat San Francisco? And to a man, they said yes. And they said you do it by being balanced. If they can run, if Packers can run, that will open up the passing. They said that Aaron Rodgers, they think, is a better quarterback than Garoppolo.
All day.
And I said, well, they said Garoppolo, the key to Garoppolo is he's got Kittle, he's got the two good wide receivers.
Samuel is incredible.
The two good wide receivers. That guy reminds me of Sterling Sharp, kind of a young Sterling Sharp. But so they said that they must be balanced on offense, and he said that A-Rod at home, this is a disadvantage on the road, he can counteract the chess match, what they did. KJ Wright said that everything we did, Rodgers looked and then called something to counter it. He said it was amazing. You can't do that in noise on the road unless you're ahead. And the fans are panicking. But, I think the running game is the key. And they said that it's not Garoppolo, it's Shanahan. Shanahan is the key. His play calls, you just never know what's going to happen. But they said, you have LaFleur, but you never know what Rodgers is going to do. Rodgers called the screen pass at Detroit at the end of the game. It was an audible, and it was the first time they called that all game. And Detroit, got him in the field goal range, and it worked. So you have that veteran, Aaron Rodgers against Garoppolo. I like it.
You speak to that, would you please? I wonder, Gary, can Davante Adams have 160 yards again? Is there a way to get him involved where basically he's kind of the Lone Ranger out there?
Well, I mean, they're right, and we don't know how they're going to play it. I mean, do they travel Sherman with with Davante Adams. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and John is right that they're weak at the corner position, but they're weak at the other corner position. Why is that? Because they don't throw at Sherman. The other guy gets all the targets, so he gets most of the action over there. So that makes his numbers a little weaker than the other guy that's not getting the targets. If I were them, I'd travel Sherman with Davante Adams. Now, if they get that, then that means that Geronimo Allison, that means that Kumaro, that means that Lazard, Jimmy Graham. I think those guys, and maybe Aaron Jones now because you're paying, maybe those guys can, get some get free and get open some kind of way. Now, if they don't travel him, then you throw the ball everywhere. Now, I'm curious to see. You talked about this. Is last time they played Sherman, they didn't even go near him. They didn't even throw. I think you've got to be able to spread the football to everybody, and I think that's how you got to remain balanced. What you talked about, they've got to have a run game. I mean, even if they did what they did against Seattle, 21 carries for 60 yards. That's a hard day for a running back. Trust me, I know the averages are not very good. You're taking a pounding. But what that does is that keeps those linebackers inside up. And that allows Jimmy Graham, what you saw in this game, to get behind these guys, the linebackers, and in front of the safeties because they got to play back deep, and I think you can get some holes against them.
The Niners do have the number 1 ranked pass defense, so it will be a challenge. But as you say, it will be so interesting to see this game plan and how it goes.
It's going to be a nice chess game.
Absolutely. John, on the other side, the Packers have had trouble stopping the run. Tevin Coleman, 100 yards against the Vikings in the playoff game. George Kittle went crazy again, as he did against the Pack in the first game on November 24th. He's quite honestly the best tight end in the league. He is a blocking and willing and blocking tight end. He's the complete package. The Packers have trouble covering the tight end. We mentioned Deebo Samuel, a marvelous receiver, and not the only one, John. So how do you go about, if you're Mike Pettin, trying to defend these guys in the chess match on that side of the ball?
Well, it's interesting. The Packers had a difficult time stopping the run. They had explosive plays against them all year. And the one play that might have turned it all around, and we'll see if it did, was when during the San Francisco game, they put Zadarius Smith over the center in the A gap. And the center got shook, and he made a bad shotgun snap, and the running back happened to fall on it for San Francisco, so it didn't turn the game around. But that was a revelation to Pettin that really messes with offenses. So they've been doing that a lot where they put Zadarius Smith toward the middle of the field, and then they bring in Rashawn Gary or Fackrell on the outside to complement Preston Smith to get more of them. Because if you see 55, that's your best player on defense. And wherever he goes, you can see the linemen are looking, everybody's pointing where he is. That's a key. And Gary and I, we talked about this before the first game. Last year in 2018, we're up in the press box, and the Mike McCarthy team was really struggling with San Francisco, barely beat them on a last-second field goal with their backup quarterback. But what surprised the heck out of me was San Francisco's speed at all positions. Their tight ends, their running backs, their third-string running backs, they all run like Bob Hayes. It's amazing. Yeah. Their linebackers, they're coming.
They have a lot of speed.
A lot of speed,
they do.
And that really is tough against the Packers. The Packers are okay speed-wise, a lot better than they used to be, but that's their big plus.
On the subject of pluses, Professional Construction, Inc., we are proud to have them as our sponsor. Mike and Michelle Grau, in business for 15 years, commercially, residentially, home remodeling. They are the best in every single way, huge in the community. PCI at 262-363-0886. The aforementioned George Kittle, 6 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown in the first game against Green Bay. So hopefully they can contain. LaFleur and company, his team's 3-0 against teams they play a second time. Gary, give us a prediction for Sunday. Do the Packers have a chance? Will they go to the Super Bowl this season?
Well, I mean, I think when you look at the totality of this game, and really for San Francisco offensively, they've got to force Garoppolo in 3rd and longs, and they got to force him to throw the football. They got to get him off his spot, get him out of rhythm. That San Francisco offense with Shanahan Garoppolo gets rid of the football fast. He doesn't hold on to it, doesn't look around. He's not scrambling as much.
He's no Russell Wilson, right?
He's no Russell Wilson, or he's no Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He's not trying to hold on to the football. He's not doing any of that. Here's the play is called, this is what I'm doing. So you got to get him uncomfortable. So which means you got to stop that run game and force Garoppolo to beat you. If they can force Garoppolo to beat him, they win this game. And I think they can do that. I think this run defense is not what it was early in the year. I think the Green Bay Packers can force these guys into maybe 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. That's a long way to get a first down on 3rd down. Garoppolo will give you 2 or 3 chances to get a pick.
Yep.
He just does.
He gets jittery, doesn't
yes.
he? If you pressure him.
Yes, if you pressure him. The Packers got to get in his face, and they got to catch him. I mean, he's going to throw it to you, but now you got to catch him.
Yes.
So if they can get the turnover battle, they can win that, I think that they'll be okay. Offensively, Aaron Rodgers, we can't turn it over. I mean, we just can't. And we can't have a lot of 3 and outs. We can't have empty possessions. So, yes, the Green Bay Packers can go to San Francisco, and they can get a win, 24-23 Packers to the Super Bowl in Miami. I'm going.
You heard it from the ex-Badger and Packer. That's right. So that's got to be a plus right away. John Dodds, prediction.
The Packers' base defense is nickel, and Chandon Sullivan has had a great year. I think he can guard Kittle's in the backfield.
Ooh,
it's just that you can't guard the running. You're at a weakness with the rush. Can they stop the rush enough to put the game in Garoppolo's hands and let him make the mistake? And on offense, can the offensive line just protect a little bit more, because it's that split second that secondary is not used to having a quarterback extending plays, and the Packers could possibly. I wish they had better weapons. This is where, that boy.
Okay, come on now. Give me the final score. Ellerson's got to get out of here.
This is not
We're on Ellerson time now.
Finley,
he's got
Jennings,
commitments. Yeah,
Donovan
right.
Is that what you're looking
Jermichael
for?
Finley.
What we're looking for is the 1995 season game at San Francisco, where you come out there, you get a defensive touchdown by Craig Newsome, and you absolutely punch him in the mouth and shock them on the road. That was the dawning of the Ron Wolf era, that the Packers are back. My first time through, I had San Francisco 33, Green Bay 24.
No, JD.
But the Packers are playing better. And listen, talking to Seattle, the locker room was unanimous that the Packers could win this. So I'm going to say that Green Bay 27-26.
Oh, I am just loving that outcome. If I was throwing phones against you.
I'm
not.
I was throwing the cell phone against. I don't know what we're going to do emotionally. I've never seen a Packers season like this in the 40 years I've blessed to be around, and I think you guys are concurrent. I'm just going to get out of here quickly. The Packers shock the world, go to the Super Bowl where they'll play Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The final in SF, 31-24, Green Bay. For Gary Ellerson and John Dodds, I'm Tom Pipines. Thank you, WisconsinSportsStream.com, Jason and Derek, WSS Sports. Appreciate you, everyone. Go Pack.